VI letter 1 EBF, T, South Shape. I remember the last time I stood in this house. My diploma from the Institute of Technology was still warm in my hands. I was proud, certain, unstoppable. I told my father I wanted to build something that could change lives. He looked at me and laughed. Artificial intelligence is just a fad, he said. Real work happens with machines, not computers. My mother smiled gently, but said nothing. My brothers exchanged glances, already in on the joke. I tried to explain how my program could detect disease early. They listened the way people listen to a child's fantasy. When I finished, my father patted my shoulder. Sweetheart, you're clever, but this isn't a game for girls. That sentence carved itself into my bones. I left that night without another word. The suitcase was heavy, but not as heavy as the silence. I worked in cafes, libraries, and diners to pay rent. I coded between coffee orders and closing shifts. There were days when I could barely keep my eyes open. Every rejection letter felt like another door slamming shut. But I kept writing, kept building. Failure became a language I learned to speak fluently. When the first investor finally said yes, I almost didn't believe it. I signed the papers with shaking hands and a racing heart. Sin Mind was born in a rented apartment with flickering lights. The servers overheated constantly, and I slept beside them on the floor. Every dollar was stretched until it screamed. But I believed in what I was creating. Sometimes belief is the only currency you have left. My friends drifted away, chasing safer dreams. I chased the impossible because it was the only thing that felt mine. When the prototype finally worked, I cried. Not from joy, but from exhaustion and disbelief. I sent it to doctors who ignored me at first. Then one of them wrote back. He said my system had caught an illness others had missed. A little girl's life was saved. I printed that email and carried it everywhere. It reminded me why I had left home. While my brothers climbed ladders built for them, I built my own. Each rung cut my hands, but I climbed anyway. I learned how to pitch, how to negotiate, how to survive. I learned that independence has a cost, and I paid it in full. When the company grew, I bought my first proper office chair. It felt like a throne, even in a tiny rented room. No one called to congratulate me. No one from home even knew I was still alive. Sometimes, success feels lonelier than failure. But it also feels cleaner, sharper, more real. I promised myself that if I ever returned, it would not be to ask. It would be to show them what they had thrown away. 8 years of sweat, silence, and stubborn faith. Now I am here, sitting across the same table that once silenced me. And for the first time, I know exactly who I am. VI letter 1 EBFT, South Shape. The sound came from the end of the table. My nephew gasped so loudly that everyone turned. His tablet nearly slipped from his hands. Look, Antlan is on Forbes, he shouted. The room froze in perfect stillness. Forks hung in midair. My father's hand tightened around his glass. My mother pressed her napkin to her lips. My brothers looked at each other, pale and speechless. The number on the screen glowed like a small explosion. $2.6 billion. For a second, nobody breathed. I kept eating, calm, deliberate, each bite measured. Let me see that, my father demanded, reaching forward. The article headline read my name clearly. It spoke of innovation, of global partnerships, of impact. He read every word aloud, his voice hollow. Sin Mind acquired for $4.3 billion. Revolutionary technology transforming healthcare, he muttered. He said the words like they were poison. My mother whispered, "We need to talk." The words I had imagined for years finally existed. They still didn't sound like victory. Father stood and motioned toward the living room. The air was thick enough to touch. I followed, my glass of wine steady in my hand. He didn't sit down. He glared at me from behind his old leather chair. How long were you planning to hide this from us? I wasn't hiding, I said softly. The world already knew. You just didn't ask. My mother sat on the edge of her chair, smaller than I remembered. You could have called, she whispered. I looked at her and answered, like you did. The silence hit harder than any shout. Father's voice cracked. I never thought you'd actually succeed with that nonsense. The word nonsense stung like it always had. I was protecting you from disappointment, he added. Protecting. The same word he used to justify every cage. From the doorway, my brother Dung cleared his throat. She asked me for a small loan when she started. I said no. He looked at the floor. Because Dad told us not to encourage impossible dreams. The confession hung in the air like smoke. My mother covered her mouth again. I felt something inside me finally break free. You knew I needed help, I said quietly. Father interrupted. He was following my advice. Advice that cost me years of loneliness. Mother whispered, I intercepted your letters. Her voice trembled. Your father thought you'd come to your senses if we stayed silent. My throat burned, but I didn't cry. I see, I said, the words flat as metal. Father waved dismissively. These valuations are illusions. It won't last. My brother Fuck nodded quickly. Yeah, these bubbles always burst. The denial was almost comforting in its familiarity. Then Dung smiled awkwardly. We always knew you had potential, Lan. You copied my homework, I said without emotion. Mother jumped in, rewriting the story already. We always supported you, dear. We believed in you. The lies piled high until they felt like furniture. For a moment, I wanted to believe them. I wanted to rewrite the past with them. But my phone buzzed. A message from my old teacher appeared. I always knew you'd change the world. That single sentence felt truer than everything in this house. I looked at my family and finally understood. They hadn't changed. Only I had. And that would be enough. VI letter 1 EBFT. Sow shape. The house was silent after everyone went to bed. Only the old grandfather clock filled the hallway with sound. My father called me into his study before I could leave. The same room where every decision had once been made without me. He sat behind his massive oak desk, glasses in hand. I've been thinking, he began, his voice unusually soft. I only wanted to protect you from disappointment. I stayed by the door, not trusting the kindness in his tone. You weren't protecting me, I said. You were silencing me. He blinked, startled. I gave you advice, he said, almost defensive. No, I corrected. You gave me limits. His shoulders stiffened. I didn't want you to get hurt. I took a slow breath. You did hurt me. Every time you laughed at my ideas, every time you said no. He looked away, pretending to read the papers on his desk. You think I didn't worry? He muttered. I worried you. Waste your life on fantasies. I didn't waste it, I said. I built something that saves lives, while you were busy teaching me fear. He finally looked at me, really looked. There was something like doubt in his eyes. I didn't mean to be cruel, he whispered. Cruelty doesn't need intention, I replied. It only needs power. He opened his mouth, but no sound came. For the first time, the room felt smaller than him. The trophies on the shelves looked hollow. The man who had once towered over me seemed tired, uncertain. I thought you'd thank me someday, he said quietly. For making you strong. I shook my head. You didn't make me strong. You made me fight for strength. He leaned back, his chair creaking. You've changed, he said, almost to himself. I finally stopped asking for permission, I answered. He frowned. Permission for what? To exist, I said. The words surprised even me. They hung in the air like confession and truth all at once. He rubbed his forehead and sighed. This house has rules, Lan. I know, I said, and I've lived by them long enough. He looked at me, searching for something to hold on to. You think success gives you the right to disrespect me. No, I said softly. It gives me the courage not to fear you anymore. That silence was heavier than anger. He turned his gaze to the window, watching the snow fall outside. I suppose you'll do what you want now, he murmured. I already did, I said. For a moment, he looked small against the glow of his own empire. The man who built machines couldn't fix what he broke in people. I hope someday you'll understand, he whispered. I already do, I said and walked out. In the hallway, my reflection in the mirror looked unfamiliar. Not the girl who left in shame, but the woman who came back whole. Behind me, his office light flickered, then went dark. VI letter 1 EBFT. South shape. The next evening, the family gathered again for dinner. The same table, the same silverware, the same unspoken rules. But something in the air felt different. I had decided that silence was no longer protection. My father started with a toast about unity and family pride. I raised my glass but didn't drink. When he finished, I set it down and stood. I'd like to share something, I said. All eyes turned to me. 8 years of words I never spoke gathered behind my ribs. I want you to know what those years looked like, I began. My brothers exchanged glances, uncertain. I applied for 23 loans. Everyone was rejected. I looked directly at Dung. Even the one I asked you to co-sign. He shifted in his seat. Mother's eyes widened in shock. I worked 3 jobs for almost 2 years, I continued. Morning shifts at a coffee shop, afternoons at tech support, nights coding. I lived on instant noodles and 4 hours of sleep. I paused, letting the words settle. When investors laughed, I kept building. When people left, I kept going. Father's jaw tightened, but he stayed silent. By 2022, my company had diagnosed 4,000 patients. I met his gaze. The same company you called nonsense. The room went utterly still. Someone's fork clinked against a plate. Mother whispered, Lan, maybe this isn't the time. This is exactly the time, I said. For years, I let everyone else tell my story. Tonight, you'll hear mine. Father cleared his throat. I always believed in you, in my own way. Did you? I asked softly. You told my brothers to cut me off if they helped. Dung flinched, guilt written across his face. She's right, he said quietly. You said we'd lose our inheritance if we supported her. Mother's hand flew to her chest. Is that true? Father didn't answer. He looked at the floor, jaw locked tight. I intercepted your letters, Mother confessed suddenly. Tears filled her eyes. He told me it was for your own good. The words shattered whatever image of family we had left. Aunt Mai gasped. You told us Lan refused your help. Voices rose, overlapping accusations filling the air. Decades of hidden blame surfaced all at once. I stood silent amid the chaos I hadn't started, but had finally revealed. Father slammed his hand on the table. That's enough, he roared. The room fell silent again. He looked at me, eyes burning with something between anger and regret. You've made your point, he said. No, I replied calmly. I've only told the truth. The weight of it hung in the air like smoke. When I sat down, my hands were steady. For the first time, the silence that followed didn't belong to him. It belonged to me. And it was finally peaceful. VI letter 1 EBFT. South shape 2 weeks passed after the dinner confrontation. The house was quiet again, but not the same kind of quiet. My father called me to his office one afternoon. He greeted me with an awkward smile, the kind people wear before a bargain. I've been thinking, he said, gesturing to the papers on his desk. Lamb and Daughter Manufacturing. Has a nice ring, doesn't it? I stared at the folder he slid toward me. New company letterhead, fresh ink, a new name pretending to fix the past. We can announce it next week, he continued eagerly. It will show unity, strength, progress. Dung and Fuck stood behind him, shifting uneasily. The board, he explained, believed my reputation could bring investors. It wasn't about family, it was about money. For years, I had begged for belief. Now they wanted a piece of what belief had built. I appreciate the thought, I said quietly, closing the folder. My father smiled, relieved. Good, we'll prepare the press release. I didn't say yes, I interrupted. His face froze, eyes narrowing. I said I appreciate the thought, that's all. He blinked, confused. Why wouldn't you want to join us now? Because now you only see me as capital, I said. Not as family. Mother, sitting near the window, looked torn. I turned my laptop toward them and clicked open a web page. The logo shone against a white screen, the Aurora Innovation Fund. What's this? Father asked, voice cautious. It's my next project, I said. A $10 million endowment for women in STEM and manufacturing. For women who were told they couldn't. My brothers exchanged startled looks. Father frowned. That's charity, he scoffed. It's investment, I corrected. An investment in people like me, people you once ignored. Mother's voice trembled. 10 million. To start, I said. She reached for my hand but didn't speak. Then I looked at her directly. I want you on the board, Mom. The room fell silent. Father's knife of authority finally dulled. She doesn't know anything about business, he protested. She knows about endurance, I replied. She ran this house, this family, through every storm. Mother's lips parted. I can't, she whispered. You can, I said, holding her gaze. Father tried to speak, but she lifted a hand. I accept, she said, voice trembling but firm. The sound was soft, yet it filled the room like thunder. For the first time, she chose herself. Father's face went pale, his fork clattering against his plate. He didn't shout. He just sat there, hollowed by realization. The dinner that followed was quiet. Mother ate slowly, thoughtfully, as if tasting freedom for the first time. Outside, the wind shook the windows, but inside, everything felt still. Something in our family had shifted forever. And for once, the change came from the women at the table. I letter 1 EBF, T, South Shape, a year passed before I returned home again. Winter sunlight spilled across the familiar driveway. The house looked the same, yet something inside felt new. No tension, no unspoken judgment hovering in the air. My mother stood on the porch, waving with both hands. Her smile was bright, unguarded, almost childlike. Behind her, my brothers appeared, awkward but genuine. Even my father waited by the door, posture softer than I remembered. As I stepped out of the car, my niece Vi ran toward me. Her tablet clutched to her chest like a secret. Aunt Lan, she said breathlessly, I wrote my first code. I knelt down, heart swelling. She showed me lines of Python, clumsy but brave. Mom said computers are for boys, she whispered. But I showed her your video. I smiled and squeezed her shoulder. Keep going, I said. The world needs your ideas. Inside, the warmth smelled of cinnamon and roasted apples. The same decorations hung, but the house breathed easier. My father carved the turkey with steady hands. Before dinner began, he raised his glass. I want to toast my children, he said slowly. All of them. His eyes met mine and didn't flinch away. I'm proud of each of you, in your own way. The words landed softly, not as victory but as peace. I smiled and nodded, feeling no need to correct or remind. Sometimes acknowledgement is enough. My mother mentioned my company's new medical device. The Times called it revolutionary, she said proudly. I explained the design, the neural interface for stroke recovery. No one interrupted, no one laughed. They listened, truly listened. The doorbell rang, and I stood to answer. My old computer science teacher, Ms. Dobbins, stood there. Her silver hair gleamed, her eyes sharp as ever. I welcomed her in, and the room brightened instantly. My father greeted her politely, a touch of humility in his voice. She smiled at him and turned to me. "I always knew you'd make it," she said quietly. Later, as glasses clinked and laughter filled the air, I raised my own glass. To those who saw potential when we couldn't see it ourselves. Ms. Dobbins blinked back tears. My father nodded, slowly, thoughtfully. In that small gesture, I saw the start of something real. Months later, back in my San Francisco office, sunlight poured in. 30 girls from rural towns stared at their screens in our coding workshop. I told them, never let anyone define your limits. Among them was Vi, helping another girl debug her code. On my desk sat a new family portrait from Easter. My mother stood tall, confidence glowing in her stance. My father stood beside me, not above me, his hand light on my shoulder. Dung and Fuck smiled genuinely, no envy, only respect. I looked at the photo and wondered what mattered more. Being right about the past or open to a better future. Vindication felt small compared to what we had built. Forgiveness had reshaped us all. And maybe that was the truest kind of legacy. Vi letterwani BFT, sao shape the night is quiet now. I sit by my office window, the city lights flickering like old dreams. The hum of computers reminds me how far I've come. Outside, the fog drifts across the bridge, soft and endless. On my desk lies the letter from Vi, written in looping handwriting. She thanked me for showing her that women can build anything. Her words mean more than any award or fortune. My phone buzzes with new messages, new meetings, new ideas. But I pause and breathe, letting gratitude fill the silence. I think of my family, no longer divided by pride. My father learning to listen, my mother finding her voice. We are still imperfect, but no longer afraid of truth. The house that once rejected me now welcomes my footsteps. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it changed the story. And change, I've learned, is its own kind of victory. I close my laptop and look at the skyline. Tomorrow there will be more work, more challenges, more beginnings. But tonight, I am enough. And that is the ending I never knew I wanted.